Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited for today's video. It is going to be another wrap-up video from 2019. I know we're in 2020. Oh boy, did I get behind on my filming though towards the end of December. So we still have a couple of wrap-up videos to get through. Now I have already posted a video about the products I regret buying in 2019 or products that I didn't like in 2019. But today's video is going to be 19 products that I tried and loved in 2019. If you guys are not new to my channel, you probably already know that I was on a low buy for 2019, so I wasn't testing out or like trying like a plethora of new products. I still feel like I tried out a good amount, so I didn't want to do like a best of beauty because I feel like a lot of when I started to make a list for best of beauty, I felt like a lot of the products that I wanted to mention were things that were like not old, but just things that I had talked about in my previous year's best of beauty, which if you're interested, I'll leave that linked. But I still have a lot of these same like favorites, if you will. So I wanted to talk about 19 products that I tried for the first time in 2019. It doesn't necessarily mean that they released in 2019. Many of them did, but some of them did not. So 19 products that I tried in 2019 that I came to love. Some of these products are a bit newer to my collection, but I still really love them right now. So if you guys are interested, then stay tuned. First, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I hope you'll consider doing so before you go. I do post videos 5 days a week. Other than that, let's just get into this one. Okay, so if you are a subscriber that's been following me for most of the year, I think it would be really fun if you would pause the video right now and write down like 3 things that you think like I may mention in today's video. I think that'd be really fun to read what you guys' guesses are. But I think I'll save eyeshadow palettes. I actually am gonna, well, maybe I'll try and go in like order of how we do our makeup. So I have two skincare products to talk about, which skincare was not necessarily a part of my low buy, so you guys may not necessarily know everything that I brought in as far as skincare is concerned this year. But something that I tried for the first time in 2019 that I loved was this mask from Summer Fridays. Now I do just have the mini version, which retails for $25. Everything I mentioned today will be linked down below in case you're interested in checking it out, and I will do my best to also link the price of everything. This is the Summer Fridays jet lag mask, and I wanted to try this because so many people rave about this. I was wondering if it was like a gimmick or just like an overhyped oh my gosh, I've been filming too much Project Pan video updates, so I can't decipher between the words project and product, but I wanted to see if it was just an overhyped product or something that I truly did really love. And I could see why they call this the jet lag mask, because it is truly just a like burst of hydration to the skin, something that I will bring traveling with me if I go on a jet plane this year and just pop on before like I hop onto the airplane, because I never wear makeup when I travel. And by that I mean on the airplane. Usually when I get to my destination I'll put on makeup. Oh, by the way, I'm sporting the like Coach's track jacket again today. I like always feel like, I don't know how I feel about it when I wear it. Anyway. So I usually use this mask like 2 times per week. I could use it more if I wanted to, but if on days that my skin's feeling super dry and dehydrated, I will pop this on, or I'll pop this on if I know I'm not going to be wearing makeup throughout the day. Like on Sundays, I use this on my masking Sundays, where I'll just pop this on, and it's just like a nice cooling hydrating mask. It kind of has like a pepperminty sort of vibe, scent and feel, and I truly just love this. This is something that I will purchase in a full size when I finish this. I'm so glad that I found this. I love hydrating products for my dry skin, especially in, as you can see, the winter time here in Minnesota. This is a really nice product if you're like on the fence about it or been considering it. I do love that they offer the mini for $25 in Sephora. I think I may have ended up purchasing this in the like, oh, it's kind of like, I almost want to call it like the dollar spot version of Target, where they just like get you with the little minis. You know what I'm talking about, like the impulse buying section. I'm fairly confident that I ended up purchasing this in that impulse section at Sephora rather than like buying it online. But it's something that I've been considering purchasing for so long. In fact, I tried all of the Summer Fridays masks this year, or this past year. This one was by far my favorite. And then another like skincare type of item, because this is a lip product, but it's like a lip balm, so kind of So this is the Kopari Lip Glossy, and I tried this for the first time in the shade Pinkini, which is this like really beautiful, I don't know if fuchsia is the right word, but like fuchsia pink shade. On the lips it's like a bit more sheared out, but I loved pairing this with like cool toned looks this year. It was really pretty, and the Kopari Lip Glossy is super nourishing to the lips, super hydrating. I have chronically dry lips, so I really struggle with my lips in general looking like raisins, being super cracked, super just painful, and I loved this. This was more of a summertime shade for me. I now have the original as well, which I kind of use from day to day just because that's like a clear gloss. $13 I do not think is a horrible price for this. I think this is also pretty comparable to the, oh, what is it, the ColourPop lip balm, what is it, the Lippy Balm. I think they're pretty comparable. This is a little bit more glossy and a little less sticky, a little less thick than the ColourPop one. I think I would continue to repurchase both. I really love this shade for the summer, and I really do like having the clear version for the winter time. So this is something that I fell in love with this year and will continue to repurchase down the road. Okay, so now I'll go in the order that I do my makeup. So I discovered the First Aid Beauty Pores Be Gone Matte Primer this year. I think this released in early 2019. I was already a huge fan of the First Aid Beauty Coconut Skin Smoothing Priming Moisturizer before this released, and then I just had to try this one. I also still need to try the hyaluronic acid one. That's on my list of primers to try this year. I love trying new primers, maybe more than any other category with the exception of eyeshadow. I don't know what it is about primers that I just love trying new primers, but I really fell in love with this one this year. I think First Aid Beauty makes great primers at like a decent price for higher end. $28, you get the standard 1.7 fluid ounces for a primer, and what I love about this one is it is pore filling and really smoothing, but it feels nourishing on the skin. It still feels hydrating. It doesn't feel like drying like I feel like some mattifying primers can. It feels very hydrating on the skin, but still, if you had oily skin, I feel like you would also like this primer. So I feel like this is a really nice universal primer. I will continue to repurchase this. When I finish this, I will definitely be purchasing this again. This is one of my favorites. This is one of my favorite smoothing primers. Sorry if you hear my daughter laughing. She's sitting next to me watching I don't know what on YouTube, but anyway, I really did fall in love with this. This was the, of all the primers I tried this year, this was definitely the one that I loved the most. So then I didn't try a ton of new foundations this year. I think every foundation, no, I did try a ton of new foundations this year, and some were definitely hits and some were definitely misses. My favorite foundation that I tried this year, and it's not even a foundation, was this from Laura Mercier, and I think they reformulated this literally right after I purchased this. This is their Tinted Moisturizer Illuminating. I can already see through the light. I am like right here with product, so I used a ton of this year, and I love this because it provides a little bit more coverage than I feel like I get from your standard tinted moisturizer, but still looks very skin-like, very natural, very like tinted moisturizer-esque in a sense of it doesn't look like makeup on your skin. So I wore this a ton in the summer. I wear this a ton to work. This is definitely a product that I will be repurchasing once I finish. I'm fingers crossed hoping that I like the reformulation just as much as this one, or I'm hoping that maybe they just changed packaging, but this is an amazing product. It is very expensive. I think it's like $47 or $48 for a tinted moisturizer. That's literally so much money, but I loved this. It was incredible. And then speaking of Laura Mercier, I also fell in love with their concealer this year. This is the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion Ultra Longwear Concealer. This is not going to be a favorite for everyone because this does not provide such high coverage as a lot of concealers that are super popular on the market today. This is more of like a medium coverage concealer. I don't even want to really say buildable. I don't feel like you can necessarily build it up to full coverage, but if you don't have a ton of concealing to do underneath the eyes and you just want to like brighten it up and get a little bit of coverage, I do recommend this one. It's also super hydrating underneath the eyes. I feel like a lot of concealers that I've tried can be just too drying or look too makeup-like, too heavy, too crepey underneath the skin. I do not get that from this at all. I am very picky for some reason about my concealers. Rare is the day that I find a concealer that I like enough that I want to repurchase when I finish this. This is definitely one of those concealers though, so definitely a love from 2019. And then a second concealer that I found that I actually really fell in love with this year. Again, like, this is very rare for me when it comes to concealers. And I actually have not spoke a ton about this on my channel, but I knew that I really liked this during the summer, and then I like picked it back up again in like November and like have not been able to put this down. This is the Elsie Complete Remedy Silk Concealer. The only complaint I have about this is I'm not gonna lie, I don't love the applicator on this. However, I feel like for the formula, this is like the applicator it needs. Like I feel like it just wouldn't be the same if it came out on a doe foot. But it can be just a little bit difficult to apply this, just because I feel like it's a little bit difficult to get like really close up here by your eye. But other than that, I do kind of like that this offers like a bit of a cooling sensation as you're dragging it along underneath your eyes. It's just a really amazing concealer formula. I would say this is medium buildable, and I kind of get the silk concealer. It's just like a really silky smooth texture and consistency, and I really did fall in love with this year. This is definitely something that I will repurchase when I finish it. I've wanted to try it more from Elsie, but have been hesitant just because their foundation I really wanted to try, but I felt like based on the reviews that I read, it was gonna be too luminous and be one of those foundations that sort of like sunk into my fine lines, etc. I also am interested in their primer, but it's $38 and I'm like, meh. So if you guys have any other recommendations from Elsie that you really like, leave them down below, but their concealer I highly recommend. I don't have a powder to recommend, but I do have two bronzers that I tried and loved this year. One is the Fenty Beauty Sun Stalker bronzer. I have mine in the shade Into Sun, which is the lightest shade. I know these bronzers have been pretty hit and miss based on like who's tried them, but for me, I feel like this shade works really well for me. I know a lot of people felt like their bronzers pulled too warm or a little bit too orange for them. I actually felt like mine pulled a little, I would say, on the neutral side. Neutral leaning more cool than warm, and I know every time I use this is like a bronzer I can trust. There's some bronzers where I put it on, like on days that I'm going to work, I'm like, I don't want to reach for that bronzer because some days it looks good, but other days it just looks very like I rubbed Doritos on my skin rather than a bronzer. So this is one of the bronzers that I can trust. If I finish this bronzer, I would buy it again tomorrow. I really did enjoy this bronzer, and this is one that I continue to reach for. And then one that I may like even just like a hair more and truly fell in love with. I thought that this is one of the most standout releases from any brand this year. Both their bronzer and blush formula that they released. I'm trying to open this. This is from Cover FX. This is their monochromatic Sun Kissed bronzer. So I actually bought two of the blush duos first, and I wanted the bronzer duo, but I was like, no girl, like you've bought too many bronzers this year. But then of course I talked myself into buying the bronzer as well, and thank goodness, because this has quickly become one of, if not my favorite bronzer in my collection. I mostly just reach into the matte side, but in the summer I was also topping it with this shimmery side. So you could honestly do either. Like you could, if you wanted just like a really glowy look, you could just put this shimmery shade, like you could just blend that out into your skin. It's so blendable. It's truly like incredible. It blends better than like a highlight, if that makes sense. So it's not like you're using a highlight. It doesn't feel like you're using a highlight as your bronzer. You're just getting a really warm toned, very glowy blush, or you can use just the matte side, which I just love the shade of this. And again, blendability formula incredible. And then I sometimes will layer the two for just a really beautiful glowy summer look without being too glowy. Like this is too glowy for me. I don't reach into just the shimmery side, but again, it's an option if that's something that interests you. I felt like I had one more thing I wanted to say about this, but I am truly drawing a blank. I can't remember if I said I have mine in the shade Sun Kissed Bronze, which is the lighter of the two that they offer. My daughter actually like scraped up and ruined this, and I immediately went out and repurchased it the same day because I love this so much. Again, one of the standout releases of 2019 in my opinion. And then in that same realm, I also was a big fan of the blush duos. I got mine in the shade Warm Honey and Soft Peach. I truly couldn't decide. So here is Warm Honey. This one I actually have really enjoyed for this time of year for my skin tone in particular. Again, you can do either side mixed together. You can do them singly, like the choice is yours, as it always is with makeup. I don't know, that was a terrible swatch. There we go. Just a really beautiful, like medium, I didn't want to say deeper, but like medium shade blush. There it is, topped with the highlight side or the like shimmery side, and then there is the shimmery side just by itself. Again, beautiful, especially in the summer if you want to like glow up a look. You can use that shimmery side. I did that a ton this summer with Soft Peach, which looks like this, a little bit softer obviously than Warm Honey. I'm like running out of space to swatch, but just a really perfect neutral shade for me in particular. And then there it is with the shimmer on top. I loved this with the shimmer on top of it this summer. I thought it was so gorgeous. Again, one of the standout makeup releases of the year in my opinion. One more blush. I like didn't almost forget about this, but I was obsessed with this product at the beginning of the year, and then like I haven't been using it as much lately, but the Buxom Seychelles blush, I was literally obsessed with this. I did end up purchasing the shade Mykonos too later on in the year, which is a beautiful coral shade for the summer. This is one of the most beautiful nude satin blush shades I have truly ever seen in my life. If I were to lose this, shatter this, finish this, which I mean, who's ever gonna finish a blush? Come on. I mean, and I'm sure there are many of you out there who have, but me, it's not in my future. But I would immediately go out and repurchase this because I just truly love this shade. I have nothing like it in my collection. Such a good blush formula. Like I said, I went on to purchase another one. I really would consider purchasing the shade Dolly as well. I just really don't need any more blush, but I do love the blush formula on this. I think it's outstanding and another just really standout product for me from 2019. I have two highlighters to mention as well. So this is something that, again, I haven't talked a ton about on my channel, but this truly is an outstanding product in my opinion. This I don't believe released in 2019. I think this released at the tail end of 2018. I could again be very wrong on that, but this is the Pixie Glowy Gossamer Duo, or at least that's the shade that I have. It has the pink side as well as the more champagne toned side, and this is truly one of the most intense highlights I have in my collection. Like, you are not gonna get any sort of subtlety from this. So if you like a subtle highlight, if you do not like to look like you rubbed a Krispy Kreme donut across your face, I might skip this. But on days that you are looking to glow to this, but on days that you are looking to glow to the gods, this is amazing. It has that sort of, it's such a unique formula. It doesn't feel powdery. It just truly is one of those formulas that looks wet on your skin, that looks like it truly is like melted onto your skin. It doesn't sit on your skin, which is something that I truly love about this. A formula that I would compare to like the MAC Hyper Real Glow. It's just so beautiful. These two mixed together I think is my favorite, rather than using just this side or just this side. I love to mix these two together. There is a swatch of them mixed together. I just think it's so stunning. $18, more expensive for drugstore, but also like a really fair price for two, technically three shades if you were to mix them together. I think this competes with high-end formulas, so I think it's 100% worth the $18. And then the other highlight that I wanted to mention was this one from Persona. Again, I don't think that this one released in 2019, but I tried it for the first time in 2019, and while this shade does not work at all for me right now, it works for me in the summer. And this is another one where it truly just like melts into the skin, looks wet on the skin, isn't like powdery, isn't going to, it's such a beautiful formula and I can really appreciate for that. This is another super intense one, which is crazy because I don't like an intense formula or an intense highlight from day to day. When I'm filming, I usually do a more intense highlight. But this summer, I could not stop reaching for this. I love Persona Cosmetics. I feel like every release they've done has been very thoughtful and intentional, and it's not like they're just like pounding out releases. So I highly recommend everything that I've tried from them. I tried their glasses this year as well, which are also outstanding. Both of her palettes I also really love, but I thought that this was a really standout product that I tried in 2019. So then I have 4 palettes to talk about next. 2 of them are very new to my collection, and some of you might be thinking that I'm going to talk about the Pat McGrath palette, but I'm choosing not to because while I love having that palette in my collection, I don't regret purchasing that at all. A $125 palette is just so expensive, and truly I feel like you would have to, in order, like, what am I trying to say? Not in order to justify, but like for me going forward, if I were to buy another Pat McGrath like $125 palette, I would want to know that I would be using all 10 shades all the time. Now granted, the palette that I purchased, the Bronze Seduction, I do truly use and will use all 10 shades, but I just didn't want to talk about that palette because it's so expensive and because I still am like on the fence of whether or not I can recommend her palettes for $125. It's a ridiculous price point. I do have one very expensive palette still to talk about, and this I wouldn't even recommend to everyone, but for me, I just get so happy every time I look at this palette and look into this palette. So this truly is a palette that I am in love with, fell in love with in 2019, and it is the Mercury, or Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. This is $67. This is what it looks like. You're getting obviously a ton more shades than you do in the Pat McGrath palettes. As far as like price per gram, I haven't like done that math or anything. I haven't even taken the stickers off this. What I love about this palette is I don't know what I'm trying to say. It is, oh, what am I trying to say? Even though you have these really like fun pops of shimmers and colors, you can use this palette very easily on a day-to-day just because it is so soft. Like some of the matte shades are so soft that you can create some really beautiful mauve tone looks with this. So I can wear this when I go to work, and then on days that I'm filming, if I want to do like a really fun look with some of these shades up here, like this shade Nebula is just so unique, you guys. I truly like cannot get over the way I feel for this shade right here. Oh my goodness. Like I said, I just get happy every time I look into this palette. I love to live my life in chaos. Mercury retrograde is known for being a more chaotic time, so this palette is symbolic of me, just in my mind. So I love this palette, and it wouldn't have been right for me to not mention this as one of the favorite 19 products that I've tried in 2019. And then the other product that's like relatively new to my collection, but I already know like this is a love, is the Dominique Cosmetics Latte palette. This obviously did not release in 2019. I think this released in 2018. I wish I had purchased it right when it released. It's such a phenomenal palette, especially considering my day-to-day life, my work life, etc. I can create such easy wear to work looks with this, and this is a palette that I plan to travel with if I travel. It's just like my perfect palette, honestly, when I'm thinking of like a perfect neutral palette. I have all the shades that I really want. If I want to create a warm tone look, now I have been getting more into cool tones, so I can't create the cool tone looks that so as far as mattes are concerned, not necessarily like on the cool tone realm, but when I want a nice neutral or warm toned eyeshadow look, I can reach into this. And then you do have some cool tone shimmers, and the shimmers in here are outstanding. The formula is phenomenal. You do not need a wet brush to get these shimmers to pop, and I just think this was an outstanding palette, an outstanding release. Great for like the everyday average consumer, in my opinion, because I feel like they're looking for like more neutrals. So while sometimes we can get wrapped up in like the YouTube beauty world, like there's a whole other world out there that are just consumers that don't watch YouTube. And I feel like if I, like back in my days before I watched YouTube, if I walked into Sephora and saw this, I would be like, oh hell yeah, like this is gonna work for me. So loved this one from Dominique Cosmetics. Also the Tarte Unleashed palette. So this was a palette that I purchased kind of on a whim, and I fell in love with this. I thought that this was a good release from Tarte in a sense of it wasn't just their like standard everyday neutral palette. They really tried to like pop in a little bit of color with some of these like green and blue shades, as well as like these brighter orange shades, and these bright orange shades perform outstanding. The only dud of a shade for me was the shade right here, Hawkward, and it's just because it truly doesn't have like a base to the shade, and even when I put it over or try and layer it with other shades, it just doesn't do, I don't even know like how well you'll be able to see it swatched here. It just doesn't do what I wanted it to do as a shade. I've been really into shimmery like greens this year, and I've been really into shimmery greens this year, and I really just wanted this shade to be something that it wasn't for me. But other than that, like you get this huge mirror in here. It's a really nice palette to travel with because you can do a mauve tone look. I love the mauve tone looks that I've created out of the top row of this palette, but then you can also create like your warm brown look, and then you have these pops of colors. It's also a really like sturdy palette, so I have taken this traveling with me, and I was really impressed by this one from Tarte this year. And then my last favorite palette of the year was the ABH Jackie Aina release. Everything about this palette, everything about the color story and the shade selection in this palette just truly speaks to me. I feel like this is like almost like a colorful take on the Soft Glam palette. Like you still have your like warm brown mattes, but then you have just these amazing shimmers, like this amazing color story. The shade Sponsored is everything I want out of a green shade. I love the shade Lituation. It's like a cool toned silvery purple. It's such a cool shade. Zam and Soleil, amazing. Just kind of like unique takes on gold and champagne shimmers. And then even this red shimmery shade, I'm not gonna even try to pronounce the name. Just such a cool palette. Something that like doesn't make me feel like I'm just buying a neutral palette with a pop of color. Like I truly was so impressed by this palette this year. Product number 18 was a mascara that I tried for the first time this year. It was the Milk Kush mascara. I have a little mini right here. This was a phenomenal mascara. I loved the formula. This is something I used to say I would not pay high-end prices for a mascara, but this kind of like changed my mind, and right now I'm trying to work my way through a really large mascara collection just from like everything I've gotten from BoxyCharm, etc. But once my mascara collection is a little bit more manageable, this is something that I will purchase the mini in, not the full size, just because I don't really need full-size mascaras because I'm always layering mascaras and I have like 3 to 4 minis open at a time. But I definitely will purchase the Milk Kush mascara in the future because it is just a great formula. It really helps to lengthen, separate, and give your lashes volume. It's kind of like my perfect 3-in-1 mascara. Like if I were to be told you can only use one mascara, you can't layer them or cocktail them, Milk Kush is what I would choose because I feel like I'm getting the most diversity out of what it's going to do for my lashes in that mascara, whereas like NARS Climax, which I like, I just feel like it doesn't do enough for me enough for me as far as volume is concerned, but it's really nice at separating and lengthening. And then the Hourglass Caution mascara, again, just doesn't do enough for me for volume, but it does a really nice job again of separating and lengthening. Milk Kush does a nice job of lengthening, giving volume, and then it does a little bit for separation. Separation's probably like my least of the priorities out of those 3, and so I just love the Milk Kush mascara. I think it's outstanding. And then my 19th product is a setting spray. I truly fell in love with the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow Ultra Fine Mist this year. This truly does have like an ultra fine mist. I just love the mist on this. Like, look at that beautifulness. It's ultra fine. I love the mister. It is smaller, but I I said this, I can't remember in which video I said this, but Glow Recipe is a brand that has truly sparked my interest as of like the latter half of the year. It's a brand that I'm very interested in everything that they release. I feel like they're thoughtful about their releases, and while they're obviously like a skincare brand, I love that they have the mist. This does give a beautiful glow to the skin, and I love that this is that ultra fine mist, because I feel like with some of the other glowier mists that I've tried, like ABH Dewy Set Setting Spray, it's a thicker, more aggressive mister, so I feel like you can end up looking too dewy very quickly, whereas this one I just do like 4 mists and I don't look too dewy, but it gives me that healthy glow to the skin that it gives me that healthy looking glow to the skin that I just really am looking for out of a mist. So as you can see, I'm almost out of this one. This is definitely something that I will be repurchasing, and this was the 19th product that I fell in love with in 2019. Leave a comment down below, let me know what products you fell in love with last year. I would love to hear from you. Other than that, thank you so much for sticking around to watch this video and supporting my channel, and I will catch you guys in my next one. Bye.